What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on ESPN with a 12-team full-point PPR mock where we will be selecting from that second overall position. Should be interesting. As you can see, we've got the setup all ready to go. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe. Let us hear it in the comments section. If you have any questions, this is the place to ask them. We will make sure to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And while you are there, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Everything you can want at a great value. Details in the description. But with that being said, let's get into it. And we've got a bit of a surprise here because the first pick overall was one Dalvin Cook, not Christian McCaffrey like it is 99.99% of the time. So look, I'm going to go best player available. I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey here. That's pretty much a no-brainer. Anytime you've got Christian McCaffrey available to you anywhere outside of the first pick, you go Christian McCaffrey. What I was actually planning on doing in this mock draft was, barring anything crazy happening, which Dalvin Cook going first overall kind of qualifies for, I was expecting McCaffrey to go 101. Then with the second pick overall, I was actually going to say that you could kind of begin to have a discussion whether it should be Dalvin Cook or, in my opinion, Alvin Kamara, who should be selected there. And I'm kind of more leaning towards Alvin Kamara, to be frank with you guys, because with the Michael Thomas absence, I think he's going to get a big boost in PPR scoring. And on top of that, if you can tell me that Jameis Winston wins this starting quarterback job, which, again, that's another thing that's kind of being up in the air right now, not 100% certain. So I understand if people are a little bit hesitant to commit to Kamara, but if Winston is the guy for the entire season, I think Kamara and Christian McCaffrey are kind of right there on that same level, but that's just my 2 cents on it. Let's look at these next few picks here because we've already made it to the 9th pick overall. While I was going into that explanation, after our pick of McCaffrey, you see Saquon Barkley going 3rd overall, which right now with his situation where he's probably going to miss the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks of the season. I'm not taking him in the first round. To me, that's way too risky of a pick in the first round where what you're supposed to be doing is going with the safest picks in general. You see Derrick Henry going 4th overall, then Ezekiel Elliott. Alvin Kamara going 6th overall is an absolute steal. Devontae Adams 7th overall, first pass catcher off the board. Now with the Rodgers back there, absolutely no hesitation. Aaron Jones 8th overall. I think Aaron Jones is again going to be a very good value. Very high likelihood he finishes as an RB5 again, or as a top 5 running back, I should say. Then Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, so a run and pass catchers, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins. So big time run on wide receivers here, followed by Austin Eckler with the first pick in the second round. My favorite running back not named Christian McCaffrey this season. And then you see Najee Harris with the second pick in the second round, followed by Nick Chubb. So a couple things to point out. One, Jonathan Taylor has fallen here outside of the first round, which I do think is probably appropriate. I would say, again, the same thing about Saquon Barkley. But with Jonathan Taylor, look, your starting quarterback is out for the majority of the season. Quentin Nelson, probably the best guard in the NFL, could also miss some time. And all of a sudden, to me, even if the reports are that Jonathan Taylor is going to get a decent amount of volume, I'm a little bit scared. I think opposing teams can stack the box against the Colts, and the offensive line won't be as good. So I view Jonathan Taylor as a second-round selection. Once Nelson returns, then, obviously that situation is kind of mitigated. But in my opinion, you also need, a reliable quarterback to kind of make it all work. After Jonathan Taylor, wow, David Montgomery with the 6th pick in the second round. Wow, I'm a bit speechless. I did not expect that. Usually David Montgomery is a 3rd round type of selection. Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the 7th pick, that makes sense. After, that Najee Harris, Nick Chubb selection, you saw Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor, who we mentioned. But after Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DK Metcalf with the 8th pick, Calvin Ridley with the 9th pick. I was hoping Calvin Ridley would fall to us. That isn't the case. So that's all right. A.J. Brown after that. Now we're in a situation where I actually think we're all right. We can go another running back. We can go Joe Mixon. We can go DeAndre Swift. Could potentially go Keenan Allen. I'm really, really tempted to go DeAndre Swift here. I also do like the upside for Joe Mixon. In PPR formats, Swift is probably, the guy with the higher floor, but I do like the upside for Mixon a little bit more so. I've got Christian McCaffrey as a stud running back, as safe as you can get. I'm going to kind of roll the dice with Joe Mixon here towards the end of the second round. I think pretty decent value, all things considered. And then in the third round, probably what I'm going to do is go wide receiver. If Keenan Allen is there, I think that's a pretty good selection. In fact, you could argue I should have gone Keenan Allen first and then gone with one of those remaining running backs. But we're going to be able to get Keenan Allen here regardless. The gamble kind of pays off. So we get not only Joe Mixon in the second round. Here we're going to go with Keenan Allen. To me, he is by far and away the best available wide receiver at this point. DeAndre Swift, to load up really big time on running backs is kind of tempting, but I'll play it disciplined. I'll play it smart. I'll get a wide receiver one in Keenan Allen. Again, this is PPR scoring, so the guy's absolutely a wide receiver one, a top 10 wide receiver in my opinion. So honestly, I really like the way this thing has started off. Now, again, 99.9% of the time, I shouldn't have Christian McCaffrey with the second pick overall, but even if that's Alvin Kamara instead of Christian McCaffrey, I would feel very good about this roster. So right now, Mike Evans goes with the third pick in the third round. Again, to me, that is an absolute reach. You guys know how I feel about those Tampa Bay wide receivers at their current ADPs. No, especially when Justin Jefferson is still available. Now, yes, he did get nicked up a little bit, but it seems like, he's going to be fine and he'll be available for week one. So I'm not too worried. Guys that I would have taken above Mike Evans, hell, CeeDee Lamb, Robert Woods, Darren Waller. It's a long list, honestly. Julio Jones even though with Julio Jones, there's kind of a situation right now where, reports are coming out that he's kind of going to be monitored similar to last season, and that kind of brings up some bad memories. If you were an owner of Julio Jones's, all season long, pretty much every single week in and week out, it's like, okay, Julio Jones isn't practicing, but he'll probably play, but then he only plays like 9 games during the season. So kind of some bad memories flashing back, but hopefully it's just the Tennessee Titans being smart, being conservative. And again, if Julio Jones plays the entire season, I think he is a sensational pick because he's going to be going around the 4th round. After that Mike Evans pick, Allen Robinson, a wide receiver again that I would have rather had over Mike Evans, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift. Right now, Miles Sanders is quickly becoming one of my least favorite running backs. I just think that the Eagles aren't committing to a situation where they're going to give the ball strictly to Miles Sanders. I think there's other running backs there that are going to kind of make this potentially a running back by committee or, a 60-40 kind of split. So that worries me. Then DeAndre Swift, great value on DeAndre Swift in the middle of the 3rd round. Sensational value on Justin Jefferson in the middle of the 3rd round as well with the 7th pick overall. The guy can absolutely be a wide receiver one. Right now, kind of just looking at the value picks here, Chris Carson, who just goes, good pick. CeeDee Lamb, again, with Amari Cooper still kind of being in that pup situation. CeeDee Lamb stock is going to go up and up and up slowly but surely. But hey, on the flip side, Amari Cooper, if his stock goes down, then I think he becomes a good value. So the name of the game here, folks, is value. And if you can get good value, then you're doing a good job in the draft. Josh Jacobs is selected now as well with the 10th pick in the 3rd round. I'm not a big fan of Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to probably see some touchdown regression. I think he's more of a standard suited running back. And with Kenyon Drake there with the worse off offensive line, I'm just going to pass on Josh Jacobs in PPR formats more likely than not. Darren Waller here towards the end of the 3rd round. Pretty good value, I would say. Javonte Williams. Wow. Folks, you got to do some stretching before you reach like that. The 11th pick in the 3rd round. That's insane to me, considering that you had guys like Myles Gaskin, Mike Davis. That just doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. Even Darrell Henderson, who I'd rather have, 10 times out of 10 ahead of Javonte Williams. And boy, oh boy, we are just going on a rookie tear. Javonte Williams, then Trey Sermon. Look, I got no problem with some rookie love, but this is way, way too early for these guys. Yes, I could see them breaking out, but it's going to probably take a while. And you could have had much better selections. You could have had a Darren Waller, a George Kittle, again, Julio Jones, DJ Moore. The list goes on, folks. Those were two picks that you do not want to make at that point in time. But afterwards, sandwiched in between Robert Woods and Darrell Henderson. Sensational value on Robert Woods, end of the third round, in my opinion. Darrell Henderson, again, probably going to be going towards the end of the third round, middle of the fourth round, so that makes sense. George Kittle, third pick in the fourth round, great value. Darren Waller, though, the fifth pick in the fourth round, probably the best value so far in this entire draft, so I really, really like that. Right now, afterwards, Adam Thielen goes, Julio Jones goes, DJ Moore. So, again, there's some really good value at the wide receiver position at this point in time. Now, what I'm hoping to do here right now is to get my second wide receiver, which if we can make it Cooper Kupp, I would feel very, very happy about. If it's not Cooper Kupp, I don't mind having Tyler Lockett on the squad either. So it is what it is. But no, instead, Deontay Johnson gets selected before us, which means we can absolutely get Cooper Kupp here. I feel very, very good about that. And then pretty much guarantee ourselves to get either Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawkinson here in the fifth round. I'm not going to risk it, I think, with some of these auto picks, and I want to kind of keep this as accurate as possible. Expect TJ Hawkinson and Kyle Pitts, regardless of where you're drafting, to be, fifth round selections. I've even seen them go earlier, like in the fourth round, especially with the hype that's surrounding Kyle Pitts right now. So I'm going to be disciplined. Forget about what these rankings say. TJ Hawkinson is a fifth round selection, and I got no problem picking him right here. I love his upside in PPR scoring. I think the guy's going to be putting up like wide receiver one type numbers at the tight end position, similar to Darren Waller last season. Now, if it wasn't TJ Hawkinson here or Kyle Pitts, because he was also up for consideration, Tyler Lockett probably would have been the selection. I think he would have been a great piece as a flex play. You could argue Patrick Mahomes at this point in time is also sensational value, but, there hasn't been a quarterback selected up until this point. So I would say that, we can wait a round later for potentially a Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson. That would be an absolute steal. And I will say, pointing this out again, I try to do this in every single mock draft that we do, but there are going to be major positional ranking differences across all platforms that you use. Here for ESPN, the thing that sticks out, again, they do not value their quarterbacks as highly. Patrick Mahomes here, essentially a fifth round pick, which usually you see him as a end of the second round pick or early third round selection, which again, I do not endorse. For the quarterback position, I will continue to say this. What you should be doing is you should be buying the quarterbacks that are either coming off a poor season but have a long list of success beforehand, so you know that it was kind of a one-off situation and you're getting them at a discount, or get a guy that has serious breakout potential, a la a Josh Allen of last year, or Lamar Jackson the year before, or Patrick Mahomes the year prior. So you get the point. But speaking of those quarterbacks, you see a run on quarterbacks, and I do believe that is due to the auto pick situation. So Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Kyler Murray. For what it's worth, here in the fifth round, those are all sensational values. I'm just saying, this isn't how things will naturally happen in your draft, just because people are mostly, the majority, going to be taking quarterbacks in the third, fourth round, maybe even in the second round, especially when it's a big name like Patrick Mahomes. After that, you see Cortland Sutton, T. Higgins. I do want to quickly say that Tyler Lockett with the sixth pick in the fifth round, sensational value. And there it goes. Kyle Pitts with the 12th pick in the fifth round. So like I predicted, Kyle Pitts is a fifth round selection. So I'm really, really happy we got TJ Hawkinson. And to me, that's a very good value pick, and it pays dividends here. So right now, I'm looking at who is left. Michael Thomas at this point in time would be a luxury pick. I'm not taking Michael Thomas like before the 8th round. To me, right now, there's a lot of other positions, a lot of other players that we can target. Just kind of scrolling down here, looking. Let's see. There's some running backs. Mike Davis is still on the board, folks. That's sensational value at this point in time. Getting him in the 6th round potentially. Looking at wide receiver, I'm looking at guys like a Brendan Cooks if, Deshaun Watson comes back, which again, it's trending that way. I'm looking at guys like an Antonio Brown who isn't even listed at this point in time, potentially Chase Claypool. There's a lot of different options here. But after that Kyle Pitts selection, you see Dak Prescott, you see Jerry Jeudy, Justin Herbert. Kind of surprising to see Justin Herbert ahead of Lamar Jackson. But, speak of the devil, there goes Lamar Jackson. I was really, really hoping that he would fall to us. Was not meant to be. That is all right. We're going to be able to, still get, I think, a quality quarterback. It is the deepest position by far every single season. And I would say at this point in time, probably 70, 80, maybe even 90% of these teams have gotten a quarterback. So I don't have to rush at that position. Right now, looking at the quarterbacks available to us, look, folks, you still got a Rodgers. You've still got a Russell Wilson. You've still got a Ryan Tannehill, a Matthew Stafford, a Jalen Hurts, a Joe Burrow. Hell, you've even got the Deshaun Watson, the aforementioned Deshaun Watson. But here, to me, this is a no-brainer pick. Mike Davis is still on the board pretty much with the final pick in the 6th round. To me, this is almost, a risk-free selection. If you're worried about him, you're getting Mike Davis at the end of the 6th round. I think he's going to be a guy that in PPR is pretty valuable. Also, other running backs that I would have considered, someone like a Damian Harris, even though he is more standard suited in terms of his play. But right now, again, here I'm probably going to go Brendan Cooks, honestly. I think I can snag Antonio Brown a little bit later on, the way this thing is shaping up. And so, yeah, get Brendan Cooks right now, then follow it up with Antonio Brown hopefully afterwards. And again, I'm not sweating the quarterback position. Great value still. And, I'd be perfectly fine getting a Matthew Stafford, getting a Jalen Hurts, or a Joe Burrow, and then taking a shot on Deshaun Watson. To me, Watson, whatever team he's on, as long as he's playing, he's a borderline top 5 quarterback. So, there's that. He's pretty much a cheat code. But we're back on the clock, and like I said, I'm getting Brendan Cooks here. To me, that's a pretty easy selection. So that's taken care of. We're already starting to add to our bench. Other players here that I really, really like, I'm not really looking at any tight ends because TJ Hawkinson, in my eyes, is practically, a top 3, top 4 tight end. And I feel really good about it. With our running back situation, once we got Mike Davis, man, forget about it. I would have been all right having Christian McCaffrey if Mike Davis were my RB2. He's instead my flex guy. I've got Joe Mixon as my RB2, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, TJ Hawkinson. Man, this is a sensational draft. If this was my real draft come August or come end of August, September, I'd be ecstatic. The only thing that could have made it better is if Lamar Jackson fell to us in the end of the 6th round instead of Mike Davis. But, then potentially we miss out on Mike Davis, who, again, I think is a great value pick as well. It's all right, though. I think right now this is honestly trending towards a very, very high grade. We'll see what we do at the quarterback position. And getting somebody like a Deshaun Watson, who, again, as I alluded to, as long as he plays, he's like a top 5, top 6 quarterback. So I'll get a safer play as well at the quarterback position and then probably take a flyer on Deshaun Watson. Get some more bench pieces right now. Guys that I continue to mention, Antonio Brown, Damian Harris, guys that I will be targeting everywhere at this point in time. After our Brendan Cooks selection, I do want to run through these list of names. DJ Shark, Juju Smith-Schuster, Russell Wilson, Logan Thomas, Tyler Boyd, Laviska Shenault, and Dallas Goedert. Goddard was someone that I was really, really in on. I thought he could be, a top 5 potentially tight end if Zach Ertz left, but I don't think it's going to happen. So Dallas Goedert, that breakout, even though he is the tight end number 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think we're quite going to see the breakout that we were hoping for with Dallas Goedert right now. So here, Curtis Samuel, 10th pick in the 7th round. Personally, I'm not the biggest Curtis Samuel fan. I think there's going to be a lot of targets going elsewhere in Washington. Antonio Gibson, McKissick, Terry McLaurin, Humphreys. So I'd kind of pass on Curtis Samuel. In terms of volume, I don't think he's going to get it. Not really a PPR type of wide receiver. Devonta Smith, now you're starting to see some auto picks, so some defenses, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Michael Gallup goes there. Again, definitely don't endorse taking a defense at this point in time. Ooh, Antonio Brown is off the board, so I didn't expect that. I thought we'd be able to get him at the end of the 8th round, but it is what it is. Damian Harris also off the board, so all right. Some of these people have been listening to our advice, maybe, because Antonio Brown, Damian Harris, excellent 8th round selections. Now, we kind of have to think a little bit harder, but again, to me, this is a pretty easy type of pick. I'm very, very high on Russell Gage. I've got no problem taking him here in the 8th round instead of Antonio Brown. To me, he is the wide receiver 2 on the Atlanta Falcons offense that is extremely, extremely valuable. So I'm just going to queue him up, and he will be our no-brainer of a pick here. Other wide receivers that I really, really like, I think that Darnell Mooney has a chance to be special this season. I think, I would have been a lot higher on Elijah Moore if Jamison Crowder had left, but he didn't, so I can only rank Elijah Moore so high. I also do like Marvin Jones, but I'm going upside. I think Russell Gage has higher upside than a Marvin Jones because of the offense that he is on. So let's go Russell Gage here. We get him to the team. So a couple of Atlanta Falcons with Davis and Russell Gage. And I'm probably going to finally get our quarterback here. And who to get. I'll probably go Matthew Stafford, get that little stack going between Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. Really like that offense. Hurts is also tempting, is kind of that, cheat code rushing quarterback. We'll see, but I'll just go Matthew Stafford here. I'll play it safe, and then I will queue up Deshaun Watson afterwards as our late round selection. Melvin Gordon also a very great value pick here with 3rd pick in the 9th round. So right now, I'm a big fan of how this thing is playing out. Let's see if there's any running back players here that we could consider. Raheem Mostert, a good value pick at this point in time as well. Michael Carter, I think, could be a sleeper. Ronald Jones still there. Great value. So a lot of options. I can queue up Ronald Jones. I would rather go with Ronald Jones probably over Raheem Mostert. Even though there are a lot of running backs in Tampa Bay, it's not like there's not a lot of running backs in San Francisco. And I think Ronald Jones is the no-brainer top running back for the Bucs. Now, after Raheem Mostert was selected, you see Marquise Brown, Jarvis Landry. But for the most part, we've got this thing locked down at this point in time. Deshaun Watson is going to be that next pick for us. Let's quickly, go through this roster. And I don't anticipate anyone is going to select Deshaun Watson. So, I'm kind of going to treat this as if Deshaun Watson is on the team. But look, even if he wasn't, this would be a sensational team. And I think gets almost a B+, maybe A- type of grade. You got Matthew Stafford, a guy that is being so disrespected right now with playing with the best weapons he's ever had. This guy, he was like throwing for 5,000 plus yards almost no problem with his eyes closed. I think that he can absolutely do it again here with the Rams, and with Akers out for the season, I think that's a boost for the passing attack, if anything. Wow, Ronald Jones is selected, so all right, I didn't expect that to happen. But, people are identifying the value, so good for them. But let's quickly, again, go position by position here. McCaffrey, when you have McCaffrey, you're a running back, and you get Mixon, and you get Mike Davis. To me, running back, I think we did a, A+ job. Wide receiver, getting Keenan Allen, all things considered, and then Cooper Kupp, I think very high-end PPR wide receivers. I'm very happy with that. I'll go, A-, B+ type of situation there. Hawkinson, getting him, I love that. I'd give that a grade. And then getting Cooks and Russell Gage as bench players, I love that start for us. And now Matthew Stafford, we're going to pair him up here with Deshaun Watson. And to me, at quarterback, I think we did a very good job as well. B plus, even if Deshaun Watson is suspended or whatever the case might be, traded. We've got that very safe guy in Matthew Stafford. So let's just go ahead and add Deshaun Watson to the team. And overall, honestly, I think we, again, get a probably B plus, A minus grade, but I'll be a little bit conservative. I'll say B plus, even though I really want to say an A type of grade. But with that being said, hey, let us hear it in the comment section. What are your thoughts? What are your questions that you guys have as your fantasy football drafts approach? I'll make sure to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and lastly, again, check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And while you're there, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Has everything you could want at a great price. All the details in the description. And here we end this off with getting Deshaun Watson. So that's a wrap. And as always, we'll see you guys in future videos.